let's make a pact that we will never be like any of them down there. Instead, we're gonna be something. We're gonna be something.
This is Rafiki, a 2018 Kenyan movie written and directed by Wanuri Kahiu, based off of the short story Jambua Tree by Monica Arak-Denyeko. And what you just witnessed is arguably one of the greatest dialogue, acting and editing ever portrayed in Kenyan cinema. So about a week ago, I put up this poll on my YouTube channel and I told you people to choose which movie I should review next. And I'm not gonna lie, I actually thought that everyone was going to pick Nairobi Half-Life, but I'm kinda impressed. I'm impressed that you guys decided to pick the greatest ever Kenyan movie produced by a Kenyan in Kenya. I'm about to show you how this controversial film that got banned in Kenya actually ended up being the greatest thing ever produced in this country. But first, here's the synopsis. The story takes place in a lively neighborhood in Nairobi where Kenna Mwaura, played by Samantha Mugatsia, lives a quiet, routine life. She spends most of her days helping at her mother's small shop and hanging out with a group of local boys who play football nearby and do a shitload of homophobia.
Unaangalia ni wewe shoga.
Cheki, anakuumizaje?
Mazee aniumiza nikifikiria Kenya udu. Unadhani ya Sagobi ametulia tu akitikiwa naume hapa hivyo kimangana haga.
She tries her best to avoid trouble by riding a skateboard all over the neighborhood, mostly because her pops, played by Jimmy Gathu, is a strict Christian man and a local politician who is currently campaigning for office. His reputation in the community matters to him deeply, and he expects Kenna to behave in a way that reflects his moral values. Across the neighborhood lives another political family. Kenna's father is competing in the elections against Peter Okemi, a charismatic rival politician. Their rivalry is well known throughout the area. The tension between the two families is impossible to ignore. One day, Kenna's routine life changes when she meets Ziki Okemi, Peter Okemi's daughter. Ziki has just returned to the neighborhood after spending time studying abroad, and she stands out immediately with a bold personality, colorful style, and bright pink dreadlocks. Where Kenna is quiet and cautious, Ziki is energetic, playful, and fearless.
Ajabu ya Musa haya.
Despite their fathers being political rivals, the two girls begin interacting casually whenever Ziki passes by the shop. At first, it's just quick conversations and teasing smiles, but slowly, curiosity grows between them. They start spending more time together, exploring parts of the city, sharing food jokes, and other small adventures. Ziki introduces Kenna to new experiences and encourages her to imagine a life bigger than the one she has always followed.
You wanted to be a nurse, like with these grades, do you think
I can be a doctor?
You can be a doctor.
Their friendship quickly deepens into something more personal. Kenna finds herself drawn to Ziki's confidence and freedom, while Ziki admires Kenna's thoughtful nature and quiet strength. The connection between them grows stronger until it becomes clear that their relationship is no longer just friendship. However, they both understand the dangers surrounding their feelings. In their community, same-sex relationships are not accepted and can bring severe consequences.
Lakini kilicho nishangaza, kuna Wakenya ambao kidogo wanaishtumu serikali kwa sababu ya msimamo wao wa ndoa ya jinsia moja.
On top of that, their father's political rivalry makes everything even more complicated.
I'm spending money in this campaign. But you know what they're going to tell me? What they're going to say? Why are we supporting this guy, yet his own daughter doesn't?
If their relationship were discovered, it could destroy both political campaigns and bring shame to both families. Because of this, Kenna and Ziki begin meeting in secret. They hide their relationships from everyone around them, finding quiet places where they can be alone together. These hidden moments become their escape from the expectations of their families and the judgment of their community. For Kenna, being with Ziki feels like finally living honestly. For Ziki, the relationship represents hope for a future where they can love freely. Also, there's this side story with this simp Nduthi guy called Blackstar. He seriously wants to turn a stud straight and he will do it by every means necessary. But you see, here's the thing. Blackstar actually has a girl who's very much jealous of what he feels for Kenna. He's clearly not into her. He wants Kenna. I mean, look at his eyes. This nigga is begging to go balls deep into her. But I digress. As their feelings grow stronger, keeping the relationship secret becomes harder. People in the neighborhood begin to notice how often the two girls are together. Suspicion slowly spreads among the residents and the tension builds as rumors begin circulating. Eventually, everything comes crashing down. One day, members of the community discover the girls together in an intimate moment. Of course, this stupid bitch right here did all the tattletelling. Word spreads quickly and the reaction is immediate and violent. Angry neighbors gather and confront them, beating them and publicly shaming them in the street. The scene becomes chaotic as the crowd turns their anger toward the two young women. For Kenna, the consequences are devastating. Father sees the situation not only as a personal betrayal, but also as a threat to his political reputation.
And you
Stay away from my family.
The scandal damages his campaign and creates deep conflict between him and his daughter. Meanwhile, Ziki's father fears the political fallout and decides that the only solution is to remove his daughter from the neighborhood entirely. The girls are forced apart.
Please, Mom, can I stay?
Ziki is sent away by her family to live somewhere else, cutting all contact with Kenna. Kenna remains behind, dealing with the emotional aftermath of the incident and the strain it has created within her family. The relationship that once gave both of them hope now seems like a painful memory shaped by fear, judgment, and separation.
You're just a typical Kenyan girl.
Can I get out? Please, just leave.
Years pass. Life moves forward for both of them, but the experiences leaves a lasting mark on who they become. One day, long after the events that tore them apart, Kenna and Ziki unexpectedly meet again in Nairobi. Their reunion is quiet and emotional. The brief conversation is filled with warmth, understanding, and the realization that their relationship shaped their lives in ways that we'll never forget. The story ends on a hopeful note. While their past was filled with conflict, loss, and separation, the final moments suggest that love, identity, and personal freedom can survive even the harshest challenges. The end.
There's an inbuilt relationship between the story itself and how to tell a story and the rhythm with which you tell it. And editing is certainly 70% about rhythm and what you are showing and the rate at which you show it.
There is this author called Walter Moork. The Rule of Six is discussed in chapter 5 of Walter Moork's In the Blink of an Eye. The chapter outlines a hierarchy of editing priorities, ranking the importance of a cut based on emotion, story, rhythm, eye trace, two-dimensional plane, and three-dimensional space. Emotion, story, and rhythm takes the majority of what constitutes a good editing. In other words, how you edit a scene in relation to the length of a shot, the chase of the shot you decide to use, and why you decide to pick it is all dependent on these three factors. I know that this doesn't make sense yet, and I sound like a really big know-it-all trying to give you guys an unsolicited filmmaking class, but I want you to look at this scene right here where Kenna and Ziki are in this abandoned minivan all alone staring at each other. But back up, let's take it 2 minutes behind. This scene all begins with both of them running to the van in the rain. We start with a wide shot, the whole environment in full focus, probably shot with a wide lens with absolutely zero bokeh. But once both of them are inside their car, we immediately switch to a close-up shot. A close-up shot tightly frames a person's face, typically shoulders up, or a specific object, removing backgrounds, distractions to emphasize the intense emotion, intimate detail, or narrative significance. It creates a personal connection with the audience, highlighting reactions like joy or fear, and is often used to show crucial plot points. While in the car, we make constant switch-ups between medium close-up shots and extreme close-ups. Alright, let's break it down. First shot of them running together towards the van being a wide shot is intentional. Cinematographer Christopher Wessells makes us see that both characters are aware of the environment. The shot takes approximately 30 seconds, and in 30 seconds, these two characters go from the vast world where everybody is watching, everybody is judging, and everybody has an opinion to how they choose to live and who they choose to love, to this shot right here, a close-up, possibly a telephoto lens with a dramatic bokeh effect, and the main focus being the two actors on screen. Long stretches of silence, minimal dialogues, just pure acting. The editor for this movie demonstrates the mastery of applying the Walter Moork's technique. She cuts for emotion by switching between alternating shots of wide and close-ups to show the perspective of the characters feeling in relation to the situation at present. Solitary moments when Ziki and Kenna are alone together are mostly close-ups versus when they are in the midst of a crowd are all wide shots. Not only the choice of the camera used, but also the color grading, sounds, and shot length. At the beginning, when Kenna is all alone trying to fit in the community, there is an unsaturated color grading. Everything is bleak, normal, and a direct representation of the world. But anytime she shares a solitary scene with Ziki, we get vibrant colors, saturated color palettes, exaggerated background sound, a song, a score, and a stylistic pacing. A jump cut is used when Ziki is entering the van. A cross cut is used every time Ziki and Kenna are romantic. The emphasis of this style of editing is to show the delusion. Ziki and Kenna are aware of what they are doing is taboo, borderline illegal, and extremely risky, but they still choose to do it. The frantic pacing of the cut solidifies the emotion the movie wants you to feel. The delusions of being a happy couple in an unprecedented environment evokes intrigue from you, the watcher. You are rooting for the delusions, and the editing's rhythm goes hand in hand with the emotions. The more the delusion, the more dramatic the editing. When they switch back to reality, it's back to normal and boring for us, the audience. performance, the editing rhythm slows down to match the reality of the situation of the story, thus evoking a somber emotion for the audience. Take a look at this other scene, still in the same van, but right now it's towards the climax of the story. It's no longer telephoto lens, it's no longer close-up, it's no longer a high bokeh. Everything is in focus because the secret is out. It is no longer the safe space, it is now in full view of the world and people who have invaded the privacy. Now seriously, compare these two shots. This was at the beginning of the movie and this is towards the climax of the movie. You can see the difference in the choice of the cinematography and the editing. I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking this, but that's what I felt every time I was watching this movie. I noticed the changes. I react to the editing and the cinematography, subconsciously and intentionally. I become one with the story. Great acting, in my opinion, is portrayed by the small idiosyncrasies in a performance. A simple eye twitch, a simple catchphrase,
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
a simple gesture like rolling a ketchup on your hands to mimic what the actual character will do, a simple stare, and my favorite, dialogue.
So for the final father-fucking time, say it louder! I'm upset!
One thing I liked about this movie is there was no over-the-top acting. There was no intricate dialogues. The cuts weren't held off for long. It was just a simple, basic-ass movie on the surface. But the acting was fucking phenomenal. Take a look at Francis Gattu's character, who's portraying Kenna's father. He barely has sufficient screen time. He barely has any dialogue, but every time he was acting, you felt that this is actually a guy who cares about his daughter, despite being a promiscuous, narcissistic politician who only cares about his image to the public and not his actual family. As a matter of fact, the only time we get to see Kenna's father actually display an exaggerated emotion was this brief outburst when he was scolding Kenna for coming home late. Believe it or not, good subtle acting beats method acting any day of the week. Some of the greatest performances, in my opinion, come from subtleness.
King Kong ain't got shit on me!
If Rafiki was ever nominated for the Oscars and other big awards, I can't believe I'm even saying this, but I think Jimmy Gattu's character had a higher chance of winning a Best Supporting Actor's role than Samantha Mugatsia for winning a Best Actress role, who, by the way, was also a good actress in this film. The one thing I loved about her portrayal of Kenna was the eye movements. There is this thing she does with her eyes whenever the shot has her in focus that you do not see often in modern acting.
We're gonna be...
There, right there. Do you see that? Do you see what she does with her eyes and her whole twitching in the mouth? That is good acting. No over-the-top dramatic bullshit like this. This scene in the van where she was in the car with Ziki kinda reminded me of that scene in Euphoria where Zendaya was looking at her mom with hatred and fury. It's literally almost the same type of acting except in different situations. One is angry while one is slowly falling in love. Maybe it's the lack of dialogue in the movie, but I don't know. In my opinion, I feel like these two performances from Samantha Mugatsia and Jimmy Gattu is the greatest piece of acting I've ever seen in a film in Kenya, and I stand to be corrected. Seriously, let me know in the comments. Tell me one other scenario or situation from a movie that's made in Kenya that you think is better than Samantha Mugatsia and Jimmy Gattu's performance. I'll take the L. Just convince me and tell me why.
So when we started to make Rafiki, we asked the cast to take the story home.
I don't say this a lot, but you people have no idea how hard it is to be a writer-director. Wanuri Kahiu does the impossible. Give us a compelling story with fleshed out characters and relevant themes of the dangers of same-sex relationships in a third world country in a movie under 90 minutes long. In case you people are forgetting, Rafiki actually opened in Cannes Film Festival while still being banned in Kenya and having a limited release. And this film ended up being the highest grossing product ever produced in Kenya. Yeah, I want us to sink in. Kenya has never made a movie over $1 million. And the only movie which has a glimmer of chance to achieve that had everything surrounding it going against it. Wanuri Kahiu's best achievement in this movie, however, is not a box office prowess, but ability to bring out the best out of everything. Again, I repeat, this was a short story that was elongated into a feature film. To pull this off and make an actual masterpiece is no easy feat. Working close to the cinematographer who gives us the best shots, working with the editor to decide what works and what should be left in the cutting room, working with the actors and bringing out the best in them depending on the character that they are portraying. For the first time ever since I started consuming Kenyan movies, I don't feel like I'm watching a play. I was actually watching a coherent, well-put performance on film with actors delivering almost flawless dialogues and realistic blocking. It's almost impossible to ignore the main reason why this movie is this great. It's because most of the behind the scene cast, most of the supporting people are not Kenyans. It's actually international professional people that are trained to this. No, seriously, check this out. It's kind of sad because this shows how much inexperienced, how much lacking in the quality and the gap in the performance of people behind the scenes we lack, and there is between international and Kenya. In other words, we suck. We absolutely suck. We suck in everything, and we suck at it spectacularly. We do not have the talent, we do not have the skills, and it's sad that the best thing to be ever produced in Kenya is mostly done by non-Kenyans. Wanuri Kahiu is a perfect example of lightning in a bottle. Someone who surrounds herself with competent people to boost her credibility and to boost her performance. She does not surround herself with yes men. She surrounds herself with people who actually check her and put her on the right path. And for that, she brings out the best from herself. I really wish many creatives could do that. It's kind of sad that Wanuri Kahiu has never made another movie as good as Rafiki or many movies after that. I really expected that her career should go Hollywood and mainstream. Alright, another pro about this movie that I kind of liked are the side characters. Every single side character here actually brought out the best of themselves. Especially this character played by Charlie Karumi. He was so despicable and a fucking piece of shit. This imp guy also brought out the best with the little content that he was given. Every scene he was in felt special, and he didn't have much dialogue, but for the time that he was on screen, I felt something great from him. Also, Kenya's mother's performance was underrated, and I feel like we should have been given a bit more backstory between the relationship of her and Kenya's father. I wanted to see why they broke up. I wanted to see a montage where at one time they were a complete family, all three of them, before the whole disaster thing and the infidelity. I really hoped we will see that, but hey, this is what it is, man. But of course, nothing is perfect, and this movie had its own flaws. The biggest flaw, in my opinion, about this movie was the ending. I don't know why, but it's not a must we have a good ending. It's a really bad rhetoric in African movies that every ending should be good, because guys, believe it or not, life is not fair. I would have loved an ending where these two characters never met again. I would have loved an ending where they don't have a happy ending, an ending where Kenna is over Ziki. I don't want to see them together. It ran its course, because the idea that now they're grown-ups and they can express their love for each other regardless of the community that they surround themselves with kinda overwrites the whole agenda of the story, that they could not end up together because of the community and the laws of Kenya. One other thing I had against this movie was the color grading. At certain scenes, it felt like they actually put a filter instead of color grading the movie the traditional way. But that's a stretch. I feel like I'm really looking for something to complain about. Then again, you can't give a movie a 10 out of 10. You need to find something to correct. And I'll just take a 0.3% out of the 10 mark. So in general, I'm going to give this movie a 9.5 out of 10. It's the greatest movie I've ever seen from Kenya. But if we are doing the international standard and not the Kenyan way, and I have to rate it alongside other great movies from IMDb, I'm going to give this an 8.1. So all in all, Rafiki was a good movie, and I'm please begging every single person who's watching this video, go watch that movie. It's the greatest Kenyan movie to ever come out, and once you're done watching, go give it a 10 on IMDb and a 5 on Letterboxd.